Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the A segment of episode 55 of Codename Kids Next Door, Operation DUCKY. We begin this segment with Tommy running through the neighborhood at night, and for some reason, Tommy is only wearing his usual goggles and hat, along with the hat, gloves, and cape from his The Tommy outfit. We also see that there's a giant robot chasing after Tommy. Eventually, Tommy trips, which stops his running, and we see that the giant robot is being piloted by Tommy's older brother, Number 2. Number 2 tells Tommy that their mom wants Tommy back home because she wants Tommy to take a bath. Tommy resists the idea of taking a bath, and Number 2 responds that running away isn't the way to handle it, and he also tells Tommy to put some clothes on before everyone else in the world sees Tommy without clothes on. And then we find out that the Gilligan brothers ended up in a football stadium, so a great number of people have seen Tommy without his clothes on. Embarrassed, Tommy begrudgingly agrees to return home. At the Gilligan home, we see Tommy being sent into the bathroom by his and Number 2's mom, Betty, and Betty tells Tommy that she doesn't want Tommy to leave the bathroom until he completes taking a bath. Even though he's in the bathroom now, Tommy still refuses to take a bath, and he still voices his refusal when Betty comments that she doesn't hear Tommy in the bathtub. Lydia then demands that Tommy enter the bathtub, and Tommy agrees to do so in fear. However, while he's trying to get into the bathtub, Tommy ends up slipping and falling into the bathtub. So now we see Tommy underwater, and there's several schools of fish also underwater. Eventually, a net catches Tommy and a school of fish, and the net brings them up to the surface. Eventually, we see that the net is coming from a boat, and after Tommy and the school of fish are dropped on the deck of this boat, one of the crew members, a boy, tries to see if Tommy is okay. Once Tommy gets his full bearings back, he sees that all of the crew members, Tommy sees the crew members of the boat are all boys, and he also notices that they're all wearing dirty bathrobes and the boat itself is dirty. Tommy inquires about what this boat is exactly, and one of the crew members reveals that this boat is the SS Stinkypants. Eventually, the captain of the boat arrives on deck, and unlike the crew members, the captain is an adult. His name is James P. Dirt, and he's voiced by Maurice LaMarche using an exaggerated William Shatner impression. Captain Dirt inquires why the boat has stopped, and one of the crew members tells the captain about how Tommy was caught in one of their nets, but they were able to get Tommy out of the water before he was completely cleaned. But Captain Dirt comments about how time is something that isn't on their side, and that they have to keep sailing or else she will capture them. Tommy inquires who this she is that the captain is talking about, and this leads the captain to inquire who Tommy is. Tommy gives a brief introduction, and then some of the crew members begin to laugh when they see Tommy isn't wearing any clothes. Captain Dirt gives Tommy a spare dirty bathrobe to wear, and he then and then Captain Dirt instructs the crew members to try and sail as fast as possible so that they can avoid this she that he keeps talking about. Tommy, after putting the bathrobe on, comments that Captain Dirt still hasn't brought up who this she is, and Tommy wonders if maybe he can help them defeat this she. Captain Dirt, however, comments that they can't defeat her. All they can do is run away from her. Eventually, Tommy receives an answer for who this she is. We see a giant rubber duck appear. According to Captain Dirt, this duck is Moby Duck. And Moby Duck is obsessed with getting the crew members of the SS Stinkypants clean. So Moby Duck chases after the SS Stinkypants and manages to knock some of the crew members into the water. Captain Dirt instructs the crew members to hide, and they're all panicking. But Tommy decides not to... Tommy, however, isn't afraid, and he actually starts to control the boat in order to... it looks like Tommy is steering the boat right towards Moby Duck to crash into her. But then Tommy changes the direction at the last second. So instead of the SS Stinkypants and Moby Duck actually running into each other, the SS Stinkypants merely grazes past Moby Duck on the side. And Tommy steers the SS Stinkypants into a fog of soap bubbles, and Moby Duck is unable to find them now. The crew members are impressed by this. Captain Dirt, in particular, is very impressed with Tommy's recent actions, and he offers Tommy to join him and the senior officers for dinner in his, Captain Dirt's, cabin. However, when dinner time rolls around, we see that Tommy is being made to clean the dishes, and because Captain Dirt doesn't want any soap and water on the boat, he tells Tommy to just use his fingernails to scrape off the leftover food on the plates. But during the dinner, Captain Dirt inquires some of the senior officers about their current status. And one of the senior officers mentions that it looks like Moby Duck is trying to force the boat to one of the ends of the bathtub in order to corner them so that she can finally make them clean. Captain Dirt decides that they can't do anything else and that they should just give up and accept their fate. But Tommy then encourages them not to run away, remembering what number 2 told him at the beginning of this segment. And number 2 comments, Tommy says that, Tommy recites what number 2 told him earlier about how they shouldn't run away to try and solve their problems, or that running away won't solve their problems. And Tommy says that they should fight Moby Duck rather than run away from Moby Duck. Most of the crew members think that this is a ridiculous idea, but Captain Dirt actually agrees with Tommy and says that he's tired of constantly waking up wondering if he will eventually become clean on the day that he wakes up. So he thinks that Tommy is right, that they should fight Moby Duck. So eventually it's daytime now, and we see the SS Stinkypants reaching one of the ends of the bathtub towards the Great Drain. That's what it's called. And we actually see a faucet. Yes, we see a bathtub faucet and bathtub faucet knobs hanging in the sky. And then, the Great Drain is at the end of this part of the bathtub. So the SS Stinkypants is heading towards the Great Drain, and then Moby Duck appears to attack the boat again. But then we find out that Tommy and the SS Stinkypants crew members are all in rowboats, and they use plunger harpoons to trap Moby Duck. And these harpoons are also attached to the SS Stinkypants. The plan is for the SS Stinkypants to carry Moby Duck down the Great Drain, or the SS Stinkypants is going to sail into the Great Drain and go down the Great Drain with Moby Duck being brought with it, the SS Stinkypants. But then suddenly a human voice comes from Moby Duck saying that she's not going down the Great Drain without Captain Dirt. It turns out that Moby Duck is actually a robot, or yes, a vehicle. Yes, Moby Duck is actually a vehicle being piloted by Captain Dirt's mom. Yes, Mrs. Dirt comments that it's taken 36 years, but she's still determined to make sure that James P. Dirt takes a bath. So, using Moby Duck, Mrs. Dirt is able to, Mrs. Dirt has Moby Duck trap Captain Dirt in her mouth. Moby Duck's mouth. Yes, Captain Dirt is caught in Moby Duck's mouth now. And so the intent is for Captain Dirt to join Mrs. Dirt and the SS Stinkypants down the Great Drain. So Tommy and the other crew members try to rescue Captain Dirt before they reach the Great Drain. Tommy is holding on to Captain Dirt, and all the other crew members are holding on to each other in a chain, in order to try and pull Captain Dirt free from Moby Duck. Eventually, though, Tommy's bathrobe is undone, and then the crew members begin to laugh about it, much to Captain Dirt's dismay, because they're not rowing anymore, because they're distracted by their laughter. Yes, the SS Stinkypants, Moby Duck, Mrs. Dirt, Captain Dirt, Tommy, and the rest of the crew members of the SS Stinkypants all fall down the Great Drain. But then suddenly, we see Tommy back in, Tommy is back in the bathroom of his house now, and Betty is yelling through the door to tell Tommy to continue to take a bath. At first, Tommy tries to refuse again, but when he hears a quacking sound, he panics and jumps into the bathtub to begin to take it. He jumps into the bathtub and starts to take his bath, while we also hear Lydia yelling at Tommy to take a bath. And then we see a rubber duck that resembles Moby Duck, and Moby Duck gives a smirk, and that's how we end this segment. So this segment has Tommy, number two's younger brother, take the spotlight. This isn't the first time Tommy has taken the spotlight, but yes, this is one of those spotlight appearances for Tommy after he became the Tommy and is no longer a member of the Kids Next Door organization. And it's also notable that the Sector V operatives themselves barely played a role in this segment. Number two is the only Sector V operative who actually appears in this segment, and even then he only appears at the beginning of the segment. Although number two still did provide some importance in this segment, even with his small role. Number two was the one who told Tommy about how running away isn't the way to handle one's problems, and Tommy ends up taking that lesson to heart when he tries to convince Captain Dirt and the SS Stinkypants crew members that they should fight Moby Duck rather than run away from Moby Duck. And yes, with regards to Moby Duck, it's pretty clear that this segment, a good way to describe this segment is Star Trek meets Moby Dick. Yes, it's a combination of those particular works of fiction, and they're combined into this segment. And yes, I will admit, when I first watched the segment back when it first aired on TV, I wasn't aware of Star Trek at the time, or I wasn't really familiar with Star Trek. I never really heard about it. My only other exposure to Star Trek was other references to it, but because I never saw Star Trek or never even heard the name Star Trek, those references flew over my head when I first watched the segment. It wasn't until years later when I found out about Star Trek, and when it might have been a few months, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, now that I think about it, yes, I think I first saw a Star Trek episode a few months after this segment first aired on TV. So that's actually pretty funny. This might have been the last time I saw a reference to Star Trek without knowing what Star Trek was. But looking back at this segment now being familiar with Star Trek, I do see the clear references to Star Trek. The most specific is Captain James P. Dirt, who is, of course, a reference to Captain James T. Kirk. Captain Kirk. Yes, Captain Dirt, Captain Kirk. Yes, that reference is clear, especially because Maurice LaMarche is using an exaggerated impression of William Shatner's voice. Or yes, he's using an exaggerated William Shatner impression. And in one of his blog posts, Tom Warburton did acknowledge that one of, if not the main, motivations behind this segment's creation was to have Maurice LaMarche provide a William Shatner impression. And yeah, that was pretty funny. Even before I knew what Captain Dirt's speech patterns were meant to be a reference to, I still thought it was pretty funny. And yeah, now that I know the reference, I find it even more amusing. And yes, with regards to Captain Dirt, he's another example of an adult who isn't a bad guy. He's not a villain. He's not an antagonist. Captain Dirt actually Captain Dirt is actually the captain of a crew of boys who don't want to take a bath. So yes, Captain Dirt provides us with another example in the show that shows us that not all adults are bad. So Captain Dirt is actually an ally to kids, particularly kids who don't want to take baths. And we do find out that Captain Dirt has avoided taking a bath for 36 years. And Mrs. Dirt, his mom, was very determined to make sure that Captain Dirt take a bath. Although with regards to the ending, yes, Operation Ducky is another segment another entry in the series that could be an example of an all just a dream entry. It's a little ambiguous. Like the way it's presented, it does seem like it's a dream sequence with the way how Tommy just finds himself back in the bathroom of his house, his home, after going down the Great Drain. Although the ending does show the rubber duck, who resembles Moby Duck, giving a smirk to us, the viewer. So again, it does seem to be a rather ambiguous situation. Like, did Tommy really have an experience where he met Captain Dirt and the SS Stinkypants crew members and faced off against Moby Duck, who was really Mrs. Dirt piloting a vehicle? Or was it really just a dream that Tommy had? It's definitely on the ambiguous side. Or I would say I think Operation Sitter was more clearly a dream sequence. But at the same time, I do think Operation Ducky is probably... I'm more inclined to think that Operation Ducky was a dream when compared to Operation Nugget. Like, I think Operation Nugget is more ambiguous about whether it was a dream or not. Or that's, if I were to give a ranking for which of those three segments I think was more likely to be a dream versus not, I would say Operation Sitter is most likely, Operation Nugget seemed the least explicit, and then Operation Ducky I would put in the middle of those two. But otherwise, I did enjoy, I thought that this segment was a good way to give Tommy some spotlight, especially after he is no longer a member of the Kids Next Door. So we got to see Tommy take the spotlight after he became the Tommy, and without the Sector V operatives really playing much of a role in it, although number 2 still manages to play somewhat of a small role, big impact type of part in this segment. And like I said, I wasn't really familiar with the Star Trek references when I first saw the segment, but now I'm aware of it later on, and I can definitely, I do find those references amusing, particularly Captain Dirt. And like I said, I thought it was pretty cool that we had another adult who isn't an enemy towards kids and actually shares a similar goal with at least some kids. But otherwise, yes, I believe that's it for now. So as of this video, we've now discussed the A segment of episode 55 of Codename Kids Next Door on this channel. Take care, and until next time.